Well, I started riding when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I barely knew how to ride. My dad was pretty much following me the whole time. We'd usually go up to his family's ground and ride around on his trails, ride up and down his creek. We were riding around that day, then we came back, we all took showers, got ready, went and we were getting on the four-wheelers to go do his chores.
He had went riding with his friends. He had actually called his dad and asked to use his four-wheeler. And his dad he did hesitate about letting him because he wasn't used to riding such a big four-wheeler. But he ended up telling him he could take it since the other kids had the bigger four-wheelers.
So Brant was riding an ATV that was too big for him. It was an adult-size ATV, 400cc engine. And that really increases the risk for injury and potentially death.
We're coming back from my buddy's grandma's on a gravel road. My buddy was on his four-wheeler in front of me, and then I had another buddy riding with me on the back. And then my buddy's dad was on the gator following us, and we were going back to my buddy's house, right down the road.
Having a passenger on the vehicle increases the risk for rolling over, because having another person on increases the center of gravity, and you're much more likely to roll over.
They went in, ate lunch, came back out just to run down the road. Oh, it's probably 100 yards, 150 yards. Didn't put their helmets on. I think he just turned and tapped the front brake and I think just lost control. And then he had his buddy on the back and thank goodness he got thrown away from the four-wheeler.
So Brant did not have a helmet on, and so when he hit the ground, of course, he was much more vulnerable to a serious head injury. Study after study has shown that wearing a helmet can protect your head, protect your brain, and you need to do that. Well, one of the main things for Brant is that he shouldn't have been on a public road. ATVs are not designed for roadways. They have a high center of gravity that makes them much more likely to roll over. In addition, they have off-road tires. Off-road tires have deep treads that are designed to grab off-road terrain, and when those tires are on roadway surfaces, both paved and unpaved roads, they can kind of grab the roadway surface. Things can happen so fast, and all of a sudden it's rolling over, you're ejected from the vehicle.
I was down at our farm, and that's when one of Brant's friend's moms called and said that there was an accident. My heart dropped, because you hear, on the news or see things, but you never think it's gonna happen to your kid. It took us probably 10, 15 minutes to get to him. When we got there, he was still face down on the gravel road. They hadn't moved him.
Well, the ambulance came in the same time we did. They got a stretcher, they got him rolled onto his back, put him in the ambulance, told us that we couldn't go in with him until they had him mobilized.
When they took him in, he was covered in blood. And then they came back out and said that they were gonna go ahead and have Air Care come get him.
One of the guys on the helicopter gave me his cell phone number and says, if anything happens, and when we arrive, I will call you on this number, save it. And he gets 3/4 of the way there in the helicopter, says, hey, your son's doing fine. He threw up, but he's conscious.
I remember waking up in the hospital bed and seeing all my family around me.
We had the skull fracture around his ear, had the collarbone was broken nose, and then he had the one tooth sticking down that they pushed back up in, and then they put a bracket on it, and then all his gums, and thank God no broken neck.
So after being in the emergency department, he was taken to the pediatric intensive care unit at University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital.
And that's when the doctor came up to stitch the inside of his mouth. And he said, oh, it won't take me, half hour, 45 minutes. And we're like, oh, okay. His inside of his mouth was a lot worse than what we had originally thought. It took him 3.5 hours to stitch the inside of his mouth. I think about how quick things can change. But I'm thankful for the support that we had. They made a big difference. Our child's still here.